So yesterday we had started looking at the Power BI interface, right? And also we brought in one of the data set, right? So our goal is to analyze the data, right? For that we need to get some data. And now once we have got the data, we have to check our data whether everything is fine in our data, right? To analyze it, right? What do we want to do? We want to visualize or analyze, right? So we want to create a report. Finally, we want to create a report out of our data. Right? This is our sales information, and we are trying to, analyze this data. Fine. So maybe here in this case, looking at this data set, you can go to this data view and check the data, right? What our data set contains. Fine. So here we can see that this is order date, this is stock date, order number, product key, customer key, territory key, line item number, order quantity. So from here, what are the useful information we have got? Is order date and order quantity, and all other things are the keys, the stock date. All others are the keys, right? With these are the reference keys for other data set, right? For descriptive data set of this fact information, right? So that means we also need some other data set to complete to analyze our sales information. To completely analyze our information, we need to get some other information and create a model so that we can analyze the orders. Here table this table is belonging to sales, and you can see here using from this data set that it contains only the order information, right? So based on that, you need to analyze your data. Now, before that, suppose we want to get the total number of orders, right? We want to check the total number of orders in a some chart, and some chart we want to check the total number of orders, right? So let's
Manzak, can you show the Excel? Because I remember in Excel there were few more fields like amount and all.
know that will be different fields. This is a different data set, maybe. Uh,
Because
so we
yesterday you imported some different.
No, yesterday we imported this data set only. So we will also check some other data set now, okay? Because in this data set we don't see the issues, and also we'll get more data into this for complete analysis, not only this data set. So we'll see that. Okay. Suppose here we have brought in this data set called uh, we have brought in this data set called the sales 2015, right? This is the data set we have imported into our data set, right? So this is the data set we have imported, and this is just giving us the information on order date, when it was ordered, when it was stocked, right? The products and all, and the order number, right? And the other information, product key, which product was sold, then customer, which product the customer has bought this, ordered this, then territory information from where this order has been received, right? So, or the sales, maybe it is also the sales territory from where this sales has been made, right? So these are the various informations we can get from here. And apart from that, we'll also get more information when we have the other tables joined with this, right? So we'll check all of this while we go ahead, right? For now, we are just trying to understand, we are just trying to understand what we are trying to do with Power BI, right? So here we are trying to get some insight on the orders, number of orders, right? And here we have the order date and quantity. So let's check the total quantity we want to see, and here just you know get it right. What you just need to do is drag and drop, and you get the information. So y-axis, we have the order quantity, but we are not seeing any information here. You see, we are not seeing any information. That means there is some issue with our data set. Though we should have got some information, but here in this case, we are not seeing any information at all. Right? We can change it to some other field, and we can see that we don't see anything from this order quantity. That means there's some issue. So we have to, and we are getting only one order quantity, right? So that means there is some issue, and we have to pre-process our data first to analyze this information, right? So in this data set, we don't have much, issues. I will bring in some other data set. Let me bring in the data set called sales 2017 raw data. Right? This is some made up data where we have the issues, most of the issues, and you can see now it is a preview, right? Data preview, and you can see there are so many issues, and we'll just go through those. Okay. You can directly load it, right? And while we had already seen yesterday, right, that we have to pre-process the data or clean the data in transform or data or in Power Query Editor, right? Power Query Editor is the engine or heart of the Power BI, where we do almost all of the work, right? All the transformations and everything we do in Power Query Editor, right? So we here once we load the data, we get this option load or transform the data. So if we do the transform the data, we will directly go to the Power Query Editor, right? So we just do transform the data, and we have come to the Power Query Editor. So here in this Power Query Editor, you will be able to do most of your work. Fine. So now, uh, what are the issues do you see in this data set? That we have this issue. So you will not, in real scenario, you may not have this issue with the tabular data, maybe the data coming from the database. But these kind of issues you will face mostly in the web data sets, maybe, right? Most of the web data set you may find this kind of issues, or flat files, you will find this kind of issues, right? Here you can see that we have tabular data and we have some made up data which is not cleaned, right? We have to make it clean, right? We have to do the cleaning, right? So what are the issues you can find out from this data set?
Blank and yeah.
Yeah,
There are a lot of missing values in the data.
missing
Blank.
values.
Column.
Blank values NA.
Even the
Ah.
columns names are treated as values.
Correct. So there are so many issues, and you can find out, right? Just by seeing this data set, you can find out that we have so many issues with this data set. The very first thing is we need a proper column name, right?
Manzar, I have one question here. Like, so when we talk about transform data, right? So
Huh.
is it advisable to transform the data in Power BI or do it beforehand using some data engineering framework like maybe Spark?
No, yeah. See, the very first thing is we are here. We are, doing everything. We are creating the final solution. Okay, with Power BI. And if you have big transformations, here what we are doing, right? Once the data is processed using ETL or data engineering, right, and coming to the final data mart or data warehouse, right, from where we are picking the data and creating the solution, right? So most of the work will be done from that end, right? But if even after that, if some of the work is left or some of the transformation is required, right? Even after the data engineering and or ETL process, even after that, if some data is some data is to be transformed, right? That has to be done here. But most of the work should be done or almost all of the work should be done from that end, from a data engineering side or ETL side. Okay, that is more advisable. So yeah.
And when we will have large data set, maybe millions of rows, then how we will transform? Won't Power BI crash, or how much data this can handle?
Yeah, so I think did we okay. So the see depends on the model size, okay. Here depends on the subscription you are taking, right? So if you are licensed, if you have the pro license, right, then you have only 1 GB of model size. This model size, this means data size, right here, whatever you have. So one model you create with 1 GB data set only. Okay, so that is the limit for pro license. Then you have the premium licenses. There you have the 100 GB of data model size you have available, right? So it depends, but you can handle lot of data here, so that is not an issue. And if you have a big organization, right, so you go for the premium licenses and you can handle lot of data. Right.
No,
So
here, one second. Here our question is, how many rows it will allow? We can understand that it will allow 1 GB of data, like that some other, based on the pro version we are selecting. How many rows at a time we can fetch it into the Power BI? Say, for example, in Excel, 10 lakhs we can fetch it at a time. So like that in Power BI, if there is any limitation, is there to fetch the data?
yeah, there is no limitation as such of the rows, okay, but you have limitation in terms of size. Okay, so here the things is like okay, right, Power BI use a very good compression method, right, where data gets compressed, whatever you have the Excel data or database data, right. So whatever size is there, right, it will be compressed almost more than almost more than 80%, 70% data will be compressed here, right? So the data size will be very less here, while you have in memory compression here, right? So you can handle a lot of data, and the limitation is in terms of the size, not in terms of the number of rows. Okay.
Power
The-
BI compresses the data.
yes, correct.
So
In memory.
Okay, so where does this memory come from?
So you have the RAM, right? You have the in services, right? In service, they will provide you while you subscribe, right? You have subscription, so they are providing you everything, the memory and all, right?
Okay.
Servers and all, right? In a cloud, so you don't have to worry about, because they are having a subscription system in the cloud, so they will provide everything.
In Power BI desktop also?
In Power BI desktop, it is yours, right? It is your
Yeah,
machine.
it is mine, right?
Correct. Here it is your machine, but once it is moved to Power BI service, so that is all cloud. Yeah. Now we'll also discuss that later. For now, we are here checking the issues in the data set. Okay. So now we have seen, and as you were saying that millions of rows will be there, and if you have extra one column, right? So a lot of size will increase also, right? For millions of rows. So you can, that also we'll see while going for performance tuning and all. Now here in this case, what we want to pre-process our data, clean our information, clean the data, right? So you can see the column names. These are some generic names, and this is not giving us specific information. Fine. So, and where do we have the column name, actual column name? In third row, right? Third row contains the actual column name. So the very first thing is we need to, get this column name, right, into the column name, actual column, not in the data set, right? So for this, what we need to do, we need to remove the first two rows. So we have to reduce the number of rows right here. So we have a tool called remove rows. We have this tool called remove rows. So with this, using this tool, we can remove the top rows, bottom rows, or alternate rows. So based on your requirement. So whatever data, however data you have, right, and whatever way you want to uh, do the cleaning or remove the data rows, right, you can remove these rows from here. So remove top rows. I want to remove the top rows, and here we want to remove the top two rows. Right. Now, see here, so easy. Now we have got the first row as the header, right? So we want to move this to header, right? So we have another tool called use first row as header. So these all are available in under home ribbon. All are available under home ribbon, and you can see use first row as headers, right? We have also the use first row as headers under the transform ribbon. Here you can see that use first row as headers, right? So the option is here, use first row as headers. So here you can see that the first row is taken to header. And at the same time, you can also see in this side, right, the right hand side, query settings, and then we have the applied steps. We on which we are doing the transformation. You can see here, and the applied steps. So whatever transformation we do, we get a new steps created here, right? Each of the transformations, and you always have the previous steps intact, right? You have the source data. So the transformation we are making is not on the source data or source file. It is inside Power BI itself, right? It is creating steps. That means this is also creating some kind of temporary tables inside Power BI, right? You can see that it is having now all the steps intact, so you can always go back to the previous steps. If suppose you have made some mistakes on the next step or getting some error, you can always remove that step and go back to the previous step. Or you can also, here you can see the gear icons, you can also update these steps. Suppose you have missed some update, or you are getting some error because of the previous steps, you can go back to the previous steps and always make some changes to the steps, okay, just by clicking the gear steps, gear icons here, right? So that's what we have for creating the steps, right? So each of these steps will perform the activities, right? Each of these steps will perform some work, right? Whatever transformation we are giving here, right? So you can now understand that this will be similar to similar things like in Python and all, right? Where you are doing some kind of scripting. You are performing some actions, and each of the actions will here is in terms of steps, right? Each of these actions are in terms of steps here. So now we have got these. We have got the first row as header. Now still we have so many issues with the data. Fine. We want to get rid of these issues. Otherwise, we may not have. We may have some kind of problem, right? Some kind of data, some kind of misinformation in our reports, right? So here, what we want to do is we have also, you can see the empty rows. This row, first row, you can see this is empty, right? Almost the entire row is empty. So there is no value of those entire rows, this empty rows. So we want to remove the empty blank rows, right? Remove the blank rows. So all the blank rows will be removed. Now all the blank rows are removed. You can also see one more thing, that data quality. Okay, the header part is also showing the data quality of your underlying tables, right? And where is the data quality? Is how is the data
Where is
quality?
remove blank or blank rows? Inside
Yeah,
blank rows, remove blank rows.
yeah. Go to remove rows, right?
Okay.
And you have the remove blank rows.
Okay, okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, all the remove rows option you have inside this remove rows, right? And now what we are saying that we also get the information of the quality of your data just by seeing the header. Just by seeing the header, you are seeing the quality of your data, like how many are blank, or how many rows have cells have errors, right? All of these you can see that we are seeing the quality of our data, right? There are 1,000 unique IDs, and 100% of that is available. You can see 0% in the first column. There is no empty or error information. But here on the second in the second column, you have one empty row, and you can see the green stripe, right? Green strip will say that okay, everything is fine. And if you have a black one, right, so this will say that there's empty values. And if you have something here red, right, the color coding, right, if you are seeing something red, that means it is also containing some kind of error. Okay, so we are going to this is the data quality. For checking data quality also, you may want to see the data quality, so what you can do, you can go to the view and enable the data quality, column quality, and all these options. So you can check like this also, right? So all these informations you are able to see using the quality information, yeah, from here. To go to view and check the, and you have also different options. We will also see those options, right, one by one. Now you can go to the transform and check, right? We are having still so many issues. You can see this column 3, right? This is not a valid column, it seems. You can see that we have 5 valid rows and 9,095 empty values, and among those valid information we are seeing only NA values. You can also click on this drop down, and you can see what are the values we have inside that column, right? We have null value, we have any value, we have blank values. So that means this column is not at all required, right? So we have also the tool called remove columns, right, under the home ribbon itself. So you can remove the column. So we want to remove the columns. So this is removing the column. At column 3, we have just removed. Also, we may have some issues with the other columns. Okay, so you can see here, by just seeing the data quality, we know that these many cells are empty, and 80% of these are valid, right? 8% data is there, 80 total value, total 80 cell information, valid information is there, right? And we have these many empty values, and we have to check whether these values are valid or just invalid data, right? So we can see here that this is very low, moderate, promobin, yeah, very low, and so this looks like a valid information. These information, right, these are valid information, so we have to keep this column, right? We And here again we are seeing another column which is also having data quality is most of the data is empty, 9,997, and we can also check what are the data is available. So if we have valid information, then before deleting anything, right, before deleting anything, you always should check the validity of that data, right? And even if you make some mistake, right, you always have this data set, always have the transformations in steps, right? So you can always go back and check the data, correct the information. So you will not lose much of your much of your work. right? Also, this data set again, another column is there, which is also having the blank information. So we don't want to see here. The data quality looks misleading, right? Data quality is misleading here. 999 records are there, and it says that all are valid. But if you go there, right, you can see that all of these are NA values, right? So this is misleading. You can always check. You have to always check the data and yeah, correct it. Fine. So now all the columns are removed. Fine. You have to also check the row information. So here you can see some of the invalid data. So you may not see among the large amount of data set, you will not be able to find out the one by one, right? You will not be able to find out the
Manza, one question, sorry to interrupt. Like
yeah, please.
after loading the data,
Hmm.
can we see the schema of our data set? Like say, suppose if I talk about product ID, it is of int type or like which type? Basically schema, which column is of which data type? Can we see
Hmm.
after loading the data
Yes, yes,
in Power
yes.
BI?
You will be seeing. So we are going to that also, right? We are going to that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, one by one we are moving to that side. Yeah. So now we have okay, that we have got the data set. Okay, we have got the data set. Suppose you don't know, you are thinking.
Manzar,
Okay,
I have one question here.
yeah, please.
So here, like the bottom line is like we are just looking for the data column wise, and then if the column seems to be blank, then we are just deleting those columns. Even if
Hmm.
it has very few values which are not blank, then we are leaving it as it is, considering that that column is valid, right?
Ha,
So,
correct.
I mean, like in real time, like when it comes to huge data, then is
Hmm.
it the right way to hover on the columns one by one and then
No,
checking
no,
whether
no,
the
no,
so
no,
like
no.
in that case, like
Hmm.
how will I mean how will we be able to find whether the columns are valid or not?
So in that case, right? So you know, right? When you are working on the real data set, so it takes a lot of time to realize a project, right? And first of all, you are always your BA, business analyst, or if you are working on the data set. So first thing is you are checking your data. That is the very first thing, that you have to know your data, that how my data is there sitting in the tables. So you are very first thing is you are checking all of your data set column by column, and which business value they have. So you have proper discussions also with your stakeholders. So this is the very first thing while you are taking up a project, right? And without knowing your data, you will never be able to, and you should not, and you will not be able to create any solution, right? Data, this visualization or any solution. So that is the very first and foremost thing while you are taking up a project, that you have to know all of the columns, all of the data set and the tables involved in the project. This is the very first thing. And even if you are working in data engineering side or any side, right? This is the very first thing, that you know all of your data. If you are working on some modifications on the data, or creating of a table, or you are creating a solution for in architecting your data warehouse. So the very first thing is you will be knowing your data, and what kind of source you have, what kind of data will be coming, what kind of issues will be there in the data, and how you can remove those issues. So that's why we have the data engineering and ETL processes also. So everywhere we will be cleaning our data, and the transform data will be moved to the final tables from where we are doing the reporting. So here what we are saying, what we are seeing, right? The if even if after all the processes, all the ETL processes, or we have some raw files, right? So we will know our data beforehand, right? That this kind of issues will be there in our data set. So you have SQL processes, we have Excel file. So while you are using your Excel file data, so before coming to this, you will know that okay, I have these many issues in my data set. So I have to first clean this data, then only I will be able to use it in for creating any visualization. Right? This
So
you
you
will
mean like
know.
when it Okay. So you mean when it comes to data cleaning, like we won't be going to clean the data using this transform data option in the real-time scenarios.
Now
We
you
would have
will,
the ETL processes for that.
if you have already cleaned data, then there's no point of cleaning it again, right? If you don't have clean data, like, okay, you are working on the flat files, or you are working on some kind of files coming from the website, right? Or you have some files where you have some special characters you want to remove, junk characters you have in your database, right? So in those kind of scenarios, you will also perform some kind of activities, cleaning activities in this Power BI, right? So in that case, you have to take this up, take these actions. Otherwise,
But
if you Hmm.
manually cleaning it, I mean, it's a very cumbersome task when it comes to use data. Like we are just hovering on columns one by one
So
and checking it.
in huge data, you will not have all means those many issues, right? So what you will do, very first thing is, you will not know that what kind of issues you have in your data. That is the very first thing, right? If you have huge amount of data, so most of the data will be correct, and you may have issues in 1, 2 data, or you may, let's say you have issues in 5% of the data. So you will not know in huge data, in huge set of data set, you will not know that what kind of issues I have, right? You will not know that. Even while you are doing ETL processes and in data engineering, you will not know all the issues. And when you will know these issues, while you are actually moving your data from one place to another place, you will know that, okay, there is some issues with the data types. There is some issues with this. There is some issues with special characters. So only once you get the errors, you will know the issues, right? Only after you get some kind of error. So here also like that. If you have huge amount of data set and you don't know what kind of issues is there, while you are trying to create the visualizations reports, so you will get some kind of error, and that you are again going back to your data set and check what kind of error you have, and you want to rectify that error. So you don't have to go back to again database and correct your data there. You can do it inside Power BI itself, that at that point of time. Okay, and that way
One
you
small question here. One small
Hmm.
question.
Yes.
In real time, how we will be using the data? We will be getting from the database, or we will be uploading the Excel sheet or CSV file like that. We will be, because when you are working on a project, how the your team will be
Correct.
providing the data.
So you have
That is what.
different, yeah, you have different, for different companies, you have different things, right? You have small companies where only, small databases or Excel files are there. So you can use that. But in actual, big scenario, big companies, you have combination of all, right? You have combination of flat files, you have combination of CSVs, you have combination of these websites and database. All of this will be used
Okay.
during in this big organizations. Okay, so yeah, and I think I mentioned it during yesterday's session itself, that once we import our data, whether it is from the website, whether it is from the database, or it is flat file, whatever it is, once we import it into Power BI, everything will work in similar fashion, same way. All the functions, everything will be same. So data will, this is now in Power BI. Okay, this is not in database. This is not in Excel. Okay, so it is already imported in Power BI, so everything will work in same way. Now all the functions, whatever here transformations we are doing, whether it data is coming from, only the source is different here, right? This is the source file. Once it is coming to Power BI, everything is same again. Once it is in the import mode. Okay, but if you have direct connection, live connection to the database, that is different. That is not like the import data.
What are the connections are there? Live connection?
Yeah, we'll see also that we have
Okay.
live connections directly to the database. Like if you have huge amount of data, right, and your model cannot handle that, So in that case, you can go for live connection and you can directly get the data from there. Okay, from the live connection. So it is like, but it will not have the performance benefit because you are directly connecting to the database and getting the data from there, and then you are working on that data, right? But here in this in memory, now we have imported the data into memory. So this is in memory information data, right? So this data is sitting in the server itself, or here in this case in my local machine, right?
1 second.
So
You are saying whenever we are connecting with the live data, the performance will be very slow. If you are
it will
taking
be
a snapshot of the data and we are working on the Power BI, it will performance will be very high.
correct. If we are
Okay.
if we are using on the import, right, the performance will be very high because it is sitting in your local, environment itself, whether it is server,
Got it.
okay, whether
Got it. Got
this
it.
is the machine, yeah. So now we have this data, and as we are saying that we have so many issues. So we know about these issues for this, small data set. But while you don't, if you don't know the issues, in your data set, it may even go undetected for some time, right? The data issues of your data may go undetected if you don't know, but suddenly you will know that okay, there is some issue, and you can go back and clean this data, right? So it may happen also that
Manza, we are doing all these transformation steps, right? So say suppose I am doing all these transformation steps, and if my laptop crashes and then it restarts, and then so will it be auto saved, or I will have to start from the very beginning, or I will have to save my Power BI this page of time to time?
yeah, it is yeah, you have to save it. Okay, this is not auto saved, so you have to keep on saving here, right? Until it is saved, it will not be saved here. Okay, so you have to keep on saving this file.
And what is the extension of this?
Extension, see, you have two files. One I said like live connection, right? Or here, this data you have one only the report, right? And the other one is with data. So like even the same kind of thing you have in the Tableau, right? With data set, imported data set, you are having the report, and other part is the without data. So one extension is .pbix, another extension is .pbit. Okay, the template report. And here you have only with the data, with data set, right? Data information, whatever the imported data, if you are saving it, so it will be .pbix. Okay.
And when it will be PBIT?
When you don't saving the with data, so you have to every time you are going with PBIT and opening the report, you have to connect to the data sources. Okay. Otherwise, if you have it in .pbix, then you will already have the data with this file, and wherever if you share with someone, right? So you can they can just open it and see the data, see the report. Okay.
Then it will be PBIT.
Yeah, in
Okay.
.pbix. Fine. So now, okay, we'll see the basic cleanings activities, whatever we have here, right? So the other things, right? So here, what we are learning here is the tool capabilities, okay? Apart from the issues we may have also, what are the different tool capabilities to handle those issues, right? So it is not like, okay, every file will have these issues. So you may have only one issues in a file, two issues in a file, but and if you have totally messy data, so you may have a lot of issues. So it depends on your data, but most of the data you will get in a big project, right? Or mostly it will be cleaned from the data engineering side or ETL side itself. Okay, you will have only small, maybe small issues, right? And you have to perform those, right? Yeah. So now here, what we were seeing is that we have some kind of issue. You can also see that with data quality, we have empty data set. You can also check what kind of data is there for the empty. We have NA data also. So you can also check what are the NA data. So how you will check? So what is your way of checking the data? So here in this data set, right? In this data set, which is the primary key? So this is order data, right? So order number will be the primary key, right? For this data set, right? So this order ID is a primary key. Order ID is a primary key for this data set. And order ID, if it is order ID, it should be always unique. If it is a primary key, it should be unique and not null, right? But here you can see this is only unique. This is only unique, and this is order ID. So this data, all of this data is depending on this order ID only, right? So it should be valid. Always this data, this column should be valid. So based on this, we can find out few of the issues, right? This should be unique. This is the very first thing, that this should be unique. And next thing, that means, and you can see here that we get duplicate values. 333, NA. So we have duplicate information, right? So this is one thing we have. Then we have to get rid of that, right? The other thing is, here you can see that the NA value, NA is not a valid information for order ID, right? So we have to also check if there is some for the NA value, for the NA order ID, it may be also mistake that it is not generated, but we have valid information in the other column, right? So we have to also check whether whenever we are removing something, right? Whenever we are removing from the data set, we should always check whether we have valid information, valid data in other columns and all. You should always check that. So here now what we are going to see is the duplicate information. And one of the thing is for duplicate, if there is some entire, if there is, and we get this kind of issues most often in the data set, that we have duplicate information in our data set, right? So for duplicate information, now if entire row is duplicate, right, we can just remove this using the remove rows, remove duplicates. It will remove the entire duplicate rows. So wherever we have the entire row as a duplicate row, right, we can remove directly using this tool called remove duplicates, right? And you can see all of the duplicates are removed from this. So whichever has the entire row as a duplicate value, so those are removed, right? Now still, you can,
one question.
2 rows
If
were
it is-
duplicate, right?
yeah,
2 rows were duplicate, right?
yes.
So it removed only the first one, first occurrence of that row. Okay.
Yes. So it
Okay.
doesn't matter.
Ideally, if it is unique, it should not allow null values
Correct.
and then duplicate values. Then in
Correct.
this case, it is allowed and then it is imported.
Correct. This is actually a made up data. So we are just trying to, we are just trying to learn the tool, like how we can use it, right? So in actual data set, in database, if it is unique, so you already have a rules applied on that column insertion, right? So it will not allow in the database, but it may happen in the Excel file that you if you have not applied any rule for insertion in Excel file, so you may get duplicate information also, right? It may happen. So now we have this we have removed, and you can see that whichever row is removed, that doesn't matter, because all are the all of these are duplicate, entirely, totally duplicate. If even in one occurrence, one place, if it is differing in one column, right, so it will not remove.
Okay, so if say suppose if I have 4 duplicate rows and I go to remove row and say remove duplicate rows, then 3 will still be there, only 1 will be removed. right?
Sorry.
Say
In that
suppose
case, three will be removed.
I have four duplicate rows, and I go to remove rows and remove duplicate rows. So only one row will be removed, or three rows will be removed?
Three rows will be removed. Only one
Okay,
row will be left.
only one will be left. Okay.
Correct. So all the duplicate will be removed. Only one will be there available. Right. So that's what we have here. Now you can also see that we have here NA values, which is also not a valid information, right, for order IDs. And you can also check. You can also filter the data. It's like similar to the Excel filter information, right? In Excel we have filtered things. So you can also check. You filter the data and check the information. So this is not a correct information we want to have, right? And you can see we have the all the steps, whatever things we do, whatever activities we perform, right? For everything we get a new steps created, right? Filtered rows. So we just remove it, and we want to keep all of our rows, right? And remove the we want to just remove the NA value, right? We want to remove the NA value, so we just uncheck it, right? And keep all the values. So this is what we have, all the values, and remove the NA values from this column, right? So entire row is removed, filtered out the data. Now we have got most of the issues, most of the issues we have cleaned. Now we may use this file for visualization. And so this is where I was telling that you will get most of the data, clean data, right, while you are working in a project. But while you are building your solution, you may find some kind of issues while we are building a solution. Now we have done some of the cleaning, right? We have done some of the cleaning, and we want to do the visualization on that data, right? So we are thinking that our data set, whatever we have, is almost clean, not this one. So we are thinking that our data set, whatever we have, is almost clean, right? And we are starting for visualization. We are starting to visualize this data, right? So that is the raw data here, whatever we have, and we want to now visualize our data. Let's visualize this data. And what are the data we have here? We have more information than whatever we had here in the sales things, right? In AdventureWorks dataset. So we have here the product, we have here the sales, stocks, revenue information, price information, order date information. So what we want to do is we want to check the sales, number of sales, or stock, okay? Revenue, maybe revenue we want to see total revenue. And you can still see that we don't get anything from this data set. We are not able to see anything from this, right? There's some that means there's some issue with our data set, right? We have this is y-axis, so go to the y-axis. So now here you can see that we are seeing something which is revenue, but it is giving me the count of revenue. Okay, it is giving me the count of revenue, and I don't have any other option. So this is not a correct thing, right? These are the revenue information. These are the some dollar values. So still we have some kind of issues with our data set, right? So what may be the issue, in your mind? Like what kind of issues we have with this data set? Do you have any idea? So we have this data, right? And while we are using this, right, we are just seeing the count of the revenue. So what do you think? What kind of issues it may be?
It is supposed to be sum of revenue instead of
Right,
count.
right, correct. So it should be sum of revenue, right? It should not be count of revenue. So now we understand that, okay, we have almost the clean data, but still we have some kind of issue. So what issue is this? Is data type issue. Okay, because here we for summing up any data, we should have that data in the numeric form, right? But here we are seeing only count of the data. That means we don't have the data in the numeric form. So we have to set all of the first, after importing the data, we have to check the data type of all of the imported data, right? So the very first thing is we need to do is the setting up of the data types. So let's go to the transform of the data and change the data types. So here now you see someone was telling that, okay, how do we know that which data type this is, right? So you can see on top here in the corner ABC, right? This shows the data type. This shows here the data type. Okay, so this shows here the data type, and now you can see that if you just click on this, you can change the data type. Fine. You have these are IDs or keys, so you can change it to these IDs. You can also change it to number form type, whole number, or you can keep it to string type, text type. So it is already in text format, and by seeing the data, you can keep it in the text format. Also, this also text. Also, this is date format, right? So you have to change this data to the date format. So you can change it to date, right?
Manza, but like, can we keep the order ID in string format also? Because here we are not performing any arithmetic operations
Correct,
on the
correct,
order
correct,
ID.
correct. See,
So I think
that's
if
where
it
I
is,
was.
even if it is
Hmm.
string, then it's okay. I think so.
Yeah, that's where I was going to. Okay. So now, so the key values, right? We can keep it as a string, text, or even numeric. So in numeric, you have also some kind of issues. Suppose you bring this to visualization, right? It may automatically it may sum up. Right? That may also happen. Whereas you may want to get the count only, right? So here these are the key values. So you cannot sum these values up, right? You can also you will always have to either it will be used as a count, right, or for the joins, right? And it cannot be used as a numeric value for sum of aggregation, right? And as you were saying that this is a key value, so we can keep it as a text also. So we can keep it as a text. So can you tell me that what is the demerit of keeping a column as text and not as numeric?
It will take more storage.
Correct,
Text.
correct, correct. Hmm. So you should understand that string will take more storage, right? More amount of data space, right?
I have one question.
Yes.
See, when you are using a live connection, if you are
Mhm.
changing the values here, say for example, if you are changing the data types here, then it
Mhm.
will really affect the real database. Say for example, if you are changing in Power BI, it will affect the real database also. We are connecting Oracle,
No,
something,
no,
it will
no,
affect it. Okay.
no, no. It is not. See, it is all based on the steps. Okay, it is just affecting that steps only, creating temporary information. Okay, it is not affecting the previous steps. You can see.
No, I'm not
Uh,
asking about the previous steps.
Understand,
Whenever
understand.
you,
Like,
yeah,
hmm. So you are saying
in
that
the
we have
database
that
level, it will not change anything, right?
it will not change
Like,
anything database
okay.
level. Even if it is not changing anything to the previous steps, not even the even in this Power BI itself. Okay. So that's what is happening here. You are not changing anything in the database. Okay. So now what we have here is we are changing the data type, and now you can see that order date. In order date, while we are making this the date type, you can see that we got immediately the error. And by seeing the color, you can understand that we have got some kind of error in this date. Right? So what is that error? What is that error? You have to find out the error, right? So you can go to the data set to find out the error and check the error. Like, okay, this is we have some kind of error here, right? error, and you can also click on this error and you can check what is the error. Okay, we have a data which is NA value, right? NA data, and this should not be there, because and NA data cannot be changed to date format, right? Any data cannot be changed to date format, and this you can also check that entire data set here, the 28th row is entirely NF data, right? 28th row is entirely NA data, and also you can see 26 is entirely the empty value. Both of these are not,
Madhav, why this is coming like this, like error written over here?
because we have changed the data type to or date, and this is the string type, right? So that's why we are seeing the error here. Okay, so we have to and these are undetected information, right? That's what I was telling, that we have some kind of undetected things, and while we are working on the data, so we'll find some kind of issues, right? And that time you have to check the error, and you seeing that error, you have to take the action and clean your data, right? So now you know that we have got this error because this is a this order date is having this is a date type, and we have underlying data as the string data. So we have to filter this two row, right? 26 and 28. We know that we have the issues with this data, and here we have the small data set, right? That's why we are saying this, that we have only issues with these two row, but it may in large data set we may also it may also go undetected. This 26 may go also undetected if it is not nearby, right? And we don't see this data. So for that you have to take other actions. We have to do the you have to check your data set validity of your data and all using queries and all. So that is again different work, right? Before doing your reporting, right? So these are a quality, aspect of the data, which will be mostly done by the database team and ETL team, right? So only a small part will be left for the reporting, where we have a small issues, and and you will do the activities, cleaning activities, perform the some kind of small activities, and you will do the cleaning. So here now we have the data, right? And we are seeing that we have the 26th row and 28th row is not correct, not having valid data. So we can go back and always check the, we can remove this 28 and 26, 28th row, we can just remove, and we can also go to 26th, right? And we can remove the 26th row. We can filter out all this data, right? Those that is also filtered. 28 and 26 are filtered. Now we can also do this and change this to date type. Right? So this is now done, and it takes some time also while to pop up the error. Okay, it doesn't we don't get it immediately also sometime, but you may get the error later also. So you one thing you should also understand, that we had a different data type or different format of the date here. Now it is changed to this format. We are also changing this for this data date data to date format, and you will see that all the data format are same now. This data and this date format are same now, right? So this is the data. This looks like the string data, text data. This is now the revenue. So we can have it because these are dollar values, so we can have it as fixed decimal number. So still two decimal point. So we can keep it as two decimal point values. Now it is these are dollar values. Right? Yeah. And stock, these are numbers, right? We can keep it as numbers, whole numbers. So it will always be in whole numbers. Prices, these will be dollar values again. So we can keep it as dollar values, right? The fixed decimal number. So fixed decimal number will be till two decimal numbers. And in decimal, if you keep it in decimal number, if you keep it as a decimal number, it will have the all the decimal number intact, right? So now this is like that, and these are string type, string type, string type, and this is again we have two data type. We can just go to date format, and you can just make the data type changes. So date type and date type. So now we have almost formatted all the data types. So you can also, format the similar data type, right? Like this, press control button, and similar data type you can just select at once, right? Select at once and make the changes for all the similar data type to in a single shot, right? So you can just right click and go to this, after selecting, by holding down the control button and selecting the columns, you can go to the change type and change the data type of those columns, right? So for today we have just seeing the till the data type changes. We'll continue it tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is off, right? So Thursday we'll continue this data type changes, and we'll see the issues in the data types and all, right? Yeah. So that's all I have for today's session, right? And we'll continue it on.
Can you share
Uh,
that Excel file in the
yeah,
WhatsApp group so that we
please
can work
share
on
this
that?
Excel.
Yeah. I'll and yeah, I think I have to get all of your email IDs, and I will share all of those things. Yeah.
1 second, we will share it in the group chat now itself
Yes,
so that you can
please share
share
it in the group chat. Correct. Okay. Yeah, I have my another session now, and we'll continue it tomorrow.
You will share this
Thursday.
Excel today, right? So that we
Yes,
can also.
today. I will share this Excel, also this PBI file. Okay.
So shall we type our email ID in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, in the WhatsApp group itself.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Sundar.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, bye.